everybody Kate Nada was here. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Kate.
Just so you all know. And we will try to get you to sooner than later in respect
Sure.
of your time, but we do have a couple things I think we want to
Yeah, I saw
procedurally
that.
take care of first.
Procedure stuff is usually pretty fast too, so knock on wood though, right?
Yes.
I love your glasses, by the way,
Oh, thank you.
with the yellow and the black.
Thanks. It's one of those 5 pairs grab bag on Amazon or something. They're just readers. I have ones that are blue, yellow, red, and black, but they all have that simulated
So,
wood arms.
7, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna call the meeting, May 7th meeting of the Agricultural Commission to order. Minutes of the meeting. So Lori was kind enough to pass along the minutes. Anybody would quickly review them and if there's no
That's what I remember. I'll move to accept the meeting, minutes of the April 2nd meeting.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so next, I think if you saw the letter from the town office, town manager, 4 members are currently up for reappointment. I guess the only thing to say is I had a conversation with Ellie last night, and due to her activity level, she's suggesting that she should not be reappointed.
Oh, Ellie, okay.
Yeah. Which, let me just make sure I have it right. My schedule has gotten quite busy, and Wednesday nights are getting harder to keep free. I think maybe it makes sense for you guys to try to find another associate member that can be more active. I suppose we can draft her and keep her. We currently have 2 associate members with Ellie and Louise. We have 2 empty because we have 4 associate positions available. So there are 2 currently open. And we have Steve Lampfair, who I hope everybody saw that he submitted a letter of interest. So
Nice.
we could leave Ellie and or reappoint her, and then she can elect not to get the card, not to re-up herself, not if we feel like it
right.
deserves more time. I don't know. That's, I know she has gotten quite busy and has not been as active as she used to like, but that's. But if the people would like to think about that, I will make a motion to reappoint Louise Butler as an associate member.
Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. I will make a motion to reappoint Tom Shattuck as a voting member.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now let's vote.
So is that 2
Counting
years?
Hmm?
You've been on this board for 2 years?
No, he was a 1-year.
I came in
Oh,
Fill the
right.
term.
Got it.
October, September, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Time flies.
I'm just like,
That was,
what?
that was a little fast. That was a little fast. So I think it's bad for me to reappoint myself, so I'm not gonna make it that motion. And then we have to decide what happens. So.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion to reappoint Eric.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that one's moved. Does anybody have any questions on Steve Lampfair?
I think he'd be a good addition.
He'd be good for a farmer's market liaison.
he would be because Meg is I think she's the head of it, or the chair, one of the chair.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I would make a motion that we recommend for appointment Steve Lamphere as an associate member.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm looking at Tammy because I feel like you have the most connection to Ellie, or Ben. Do you think we should pause or no, or just leave it open and not reappoint her? No opinion.
I mean, we've got open spaces, so if she decides she wants to come back at any time, we have space for her.
She would have to reapply.
Yeah, but I mean, we do have space for her if she, and so.
But if she's trying to quit, we should let her quit.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, that's right. I was just wondering if you think she's the type that, might go back and forth. I don't think so, because
No, she's
Or-
trying
okay.
to.
so then I think we should elect to continue with or have that be an open. So,
So not reappoint.
not reappoint.
Ellie.
Yeah. Okay, the fourth item on the list is to elect officers for FY26.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lori is currently, are you titled the clerk?
I have no idea. I just keep notes. I think I sign things as secretary, but I guess
Yeah, I don't know why I like the term clerk better.
That-
Maybe that's
that works
a
fine for
modern
me.
twist on being the appointed keeper of all things
Minutia.
semantic. All things semantic. Well, I would make a motion to retain you as clerk if you are so willing. Okay, I make a motion that Lori stays as
Second.
clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Did we have a vice chair?
Yes, that was me.
Okay. And I'm currently as chairperson, and or chair. Last year, I suggested that we rotate around every year and do different things. However, I am willing to continue if the commission sees fit.
Yeah.
I make a motion that you become chair and Tammy stays on as vice chair.
Are you looking at her? Did she nod when you said that? Because if she didn't nod, then we separate those two issues.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So all right. Now it's over to Tammy
Okay,
for Lampson Brook.
let's get this done. So, I took some notes. So in January of 2021, Chapter 355, Acts of 2020, formed the Lampson Brook Farm Board. The legislation passed to find a new owner for the property. So the board consists of 3 people from town and 3 people from the state. So there's one person from the AgCom, one from the EDIC, and one from the Conservation Commission. And then one from DCR, one from MDR, and one from EEA. Questions about those acronyms?
No, it's odd to me that it's a 6-person board, but the state does things that they choose to do them. I mean, even number. And is it Sarah now, or was it Erica, and then Erica had to drop out and they reappointed? Oh, it's a member from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
So it's
it's David
Dave.
Haynes.
Dave Haynes, okay.
So in the legislation, the farm's broken down into 5 parcels. There's the community farm, the forest parcel, the enterprise zone, and the commercial farm, which will go to MDR, and the Jepson parcel, which will go to Nesby. The MDR will be leased out to commercial farmers. The Jepson parcel will go to Nesby, and on our of their help in writing the legislation and intending the land for the last 50 years. The owner of the community farm parcel will be in charge of managing the day-to-day operation of the 5 different parcels under the direction of the Lampson Farm Board of Directors.
Will so that will be formed after, it won't be the Lampson Farm Board, there'll be a board of directors elected after the ownership? Or
That
it's,
That board.
that is
Yeah,
gonna be the board that continues?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
So for the first 2 years of our work, the board made a concerted effort to engage with the community and all interested parties regarding the property. During that time, we developed a management plan, a survey plan, and began drafting a request for proposals. In 2022, the divisions of capital assets, management and maintenance, DCAM, identified legal issues in the original legislation and advised that amendments were necessary to enable the transfer of the land to new ownership. Specifically, the current language does not clearly grant DCAM or the board the authority to proceed with the intended sale. The same year, then, Senator Eric Lesser and Representative Jake Oliveira submitted amendments to address these concerns as part of the fiscal year 23 supplemental budget. Unfortunately, these amendments did not move forward. Currently, Senator Oliveira has stated that he believes that the existing law is sufficient despite earlier efforts to amend it. DCAM has indicated that they are willing to move the process forward, provided that they receive a formal legal opinion confirming that the current law allows for the transfer as planned. While Senator Oliveira has conveyed that his legal team believes the law is adequate, we're still awaiting written documentation to that effect.
So
As
DCAM is not getting their own legal opinion. They are relying on a legal opinion that will be gotten from.
Well, their legal opinion is that it's not.
But they said they would be willing to go forward if they saw a legal
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
But they didn't hire a second opinion. They're having Jake Oliveira or somebody else's. get
They
it.
have their counsel saying that it's not okay. So
Yeah,
they need,
DCAM's counsel
they need
says.
somebody else's counsel to say that it's okay.
Okay, and so who is anybody doing that? Has counsel been retained, hired?
Well, I mean, Jake and mostly Jake has said, yes, our counsel has looked at this and they say that it's fine. But they have not provided.
Produced a letter
Yeah.
or a summary.
And that is, as of what date, did Jake, say that? Is it recently?
No,
Or it's a long time?
over a year ago,
Over a year.
yeah.
So it needs a little reminder.
So I try to remind them every month. Hence why nobody's responding to me anymore. So, I mean, I've dedicated a lot of time trying to generate these conversations and move this forward, and it's just, yeah. There's been limited movement so far, and at this point, it's unclear how we can move forward without the possibility of new legislation.
So why then, there's a meeting in January, right? The last meeting was January. There hasn't been one
Yes, and
since
there's another meeting tomorrow.
night. Yeah, there's a meeting tomorrow night if anybody would like to attend. There's an email that I could forward to you that you have to then respond to it, and then they will send you the link. They don't just publicize the
Oh, this
link.
is a Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, they're by Zoom. Yeah, because some of the people are in Boston and the state.
Oh, I see.
So I have a couple background questions before we get to moving it forward. Why did did anybody not like the idea of MDR taking the commercial property, or how did that end up? Was that just proposed and everybody just kind of said okay?
I mean, this legislation, my understanding, it was 10 years in the writing. Like, it took a long time for everybody to agree. So, I don't know the answer to that. But it seemed like,
And nobody's asked those questions, like the consultant Pete Westover or
why does MDR get this
Ken
property?
Haynes, like, are they the best entity to manage that farmland? Will they have the best interest of Belchertown farming at heart?
Right. I mean, I think Nestle was on board with it, so I think that was like,
Nestle was what?
on board with it.
Okay.
I think. that hasn't been a question.
I just didn't know if anybody said farmers are likely to lease it more, that nobody's gonna wanna buy it, it's too much, it's too cost, you know, was there
Yeah,
some
yeah.
economic transactional reason why, you
It
know,
ju-
they said it just makes sense?
I mean, it's my understanding, like, from my brain, of it would continue on the legacy of leasing the property, right? So if somebody else comes in to do the community farm and the forest parcel and they have a different idea, they don't wanna continue leasing the property, all those farmers who were there could possibly not be there anymore. So they wanted to continue that legacy of farming.
Right, right. But it is also the best cultivatable portions.
Yeah.
That are large, so if we got a farmer that was their primary interest, you know, not a grazer or
Yeah, right.
you know, animal farmer
Right,
or a forester or something else,
sure.
yeah, that's why, I was just curious about that. Okay, and then, wasn't there some talk about some property line movement?
Yeah. So that, I mean, that just happened, so I'm not fully clear on it, cause it just came up, but the idea is, do you know the property?
I know it fairly well.
I meant to get that up, but it's essentially, there's a barn, and the idea is to move that barn that is in use by the community farmers.
Move the line away from it, so it's
So it's
more,
part of
there's
the
like a
community-
setback or.
So it's part of the community farm and not a part of the enterprise zone,
Okay,
because the idea with the enterprise zone is they're probably just gonna like clear out
Right.
a lot of those
okay.
buildings. So to preserve that barn.
Is that the one that's down by the old dairy barn? It's like a hay
It's
barn?
down, yeah, the hay barn.
Okay,
I think so.
I haven't
Yeah.
even looked at it.
And there was talk about contaminated materials in the old dairy barns in the
Yes.
back there. Has that progressed at all? Somebody hired somebody? There was a phase one done
Yeah.
that didn't really specify what was necessary to get it done, but is there any, are
It
people
seemed like
waiting to
they're-
do work on that, or are they
Oh, yeah.
assuming that the buyer is gonna take care of?
They're assuming that the buyer's
Buyer's
gonna,
gonna take care of cleaning up the property.
but that's another thing I'm advocating for, of getting EEA or the state should be cleaning that up so that we could actually sell it. Cause that, like, the enterprise zone is like the bread and butter piece that
Right.
would generate.
Well, and even have enough specificity, so let's say if someone was gonna buy it, they would put a bid in that had that minus whatever it would cost, you know,
Sure.
so
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
would work for them, whatever
Yeah.
their business plan
There
is,
are
so they have an
I mean, there are numbers, but those numbers are outdated now, so.
Yeah,
a
there was
survey was
also
done.
very cursory, like someone drove by, looked in and said it was
Oh,
a phase one is a very preliminary. When there's stuff identified, they should go to a phase two,
Right.
which is a more detailed study, but it also costs, you know, more money.
This was pretty detailed, but you
Yeah.
probably know better than I do.
Yeah. I
So
know
you
enough
saw the
details.
study.
I saw the phase one,
Okay.
yeah. Anybody? Sorry, I didn't mean to hog the conversation, I just,
No, sounds like
those
you
were the
did.
kind of the three things that were in
Yeah.
mind. So is there, it's just a typical agenda and regrouping tomorrow night? You don't know if there's any groundbreaking news hot off the press?
No, there's no it's my understanding that there isn't groundbreaking news, but, I'm curious about the MDR piece. Do you have ideas or thoughts about another avenue?
No, I just, you know, say, and I don't really wanna say people's net, for instance, but for word speaking, if a Sapowski like, if a Red Fire Farm like, if a vegetable crop
Sure.
farmer
Right.
wanted to have a commercial farm there, and even if they took some of the enterprise zone
Right.
or maybe they ran the enterprise zone and put up a garden market stand of substance,
Right.
and invested that kind of money,
Right.
I would think they might wanna control their fields
Right. But I think
legally for a longer
the
period of time.
idea is that we are keeping with the legacy of this being a community
Yeah.
centric, not just like a business model,
Right,
but having more like people rotating through, learning how to farm, that
different
kind of-
operators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An incubator type.
So the
Except MDR is
right,
gonna be
but-
doing it, and they,
Sounds like they,
I'm recalling from 2 years ago when you had provided, 2-3 years ago when you had provided the RFP or something, I had read through some MDR language, and they were looking to like give it all to like one person who was gonna just either make silage or, raise hay for whatever they were gonna do. It was gonna be a more simplified approach to the 2 commercial parcels.
No.
It didn't talk about managing it for smaller entities to either share or, come and go in shorter periods of time. I was just curious, and I don't have the answer, I'm just asking questions.
No,
That
that's-
is probably better than, it could be better than,
Right,
there's probably not people clamoring to buy that size farm piece right now
right.
for field crops or vegetable crops. So
And it is also my understanding that it's not the best soil.
the contour, I call it the contours
Yeah.
where the maple trees were taken down,
Right.
on that side, that area is great. 20 years ago, I grew soybeans and some other stuff on that property, other grain crops, and it was produced pretty well. And I think
You grew them?
I think it might be a prime soil.
You grew there?
Yeah, with Matt Rulovich.
Oh,
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I had sheep down there for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years.
cool, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think
Anyway.
Dan has something.
What?
Dan has something.
I was
Dan.
just gonna say, not to confuse things even further, but I just saw an email from Pat Berry, who's a director at Nesby, that their lease that was supposed to run out in 2025 has been extended to 2030. So, I don't know what the state is thinking, but they've extended that lease.
My initial reaction is good for Nestle. This backhanded part of that is, oh boy. That,
Right.
there's nothing imminent if they're taking 5 more years. So.
Right.
Next.
Okay, so do you know who sends out, does anybody want to attend that meeting tomorrow night? Does anybody want me to forward that?
I've
email
never
to them?
been to any of those meetings.
I mean, I'll forward you the email if you
Yeah,
decide
that'd be
to.
great.
Do you remember what her name is? Is it Jessica? I gotta search.
It's Vanessa.
Vanessa. Wow, you guys are on top of this. Well, I had 2 S's in it. I guess that was.
So does anybody have any ideas or thoughts about how to move this forward?
How do you move things forward in the legislature?
It wasn't. a
Has
trick
Aaron
question.
Saunders been involved at all?
He's not. Yes.
Yeah.
But not very much. Like he's kind of been following Jake's lead.
Yeah, Jake. I see Jake on
I mean, is there a? Is there a directory of players on any sort of memo, like that lists all the individual people that you could provide the board next time after tomorrow's meeting? Like, do they have minutes also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you just Google Lampson Brook Farm Board of Directors, there's a webpage with all the minutes and agendas and the plans, bylaws.
alright.
Just because, I mean, it would be great, seeing that you are our representative on the board, it would be great if you could point us in the direction a little bit more. So like, if at the meeting, if we know like Jake Oliveira, is he really the one person that we could be putting heat on? you know, should some of us
Yeah.
try to call them? Should,
Yeah.
you know, if someone from DCAM shows up at the meeting,
Right.
you know, should anybody try to reach out to who's DCAM's? You know, I don't want to do all the research to do it, but I'm happy to
Sure.
like make phone calls to, you know, to
So-
different people.
Right.
Like, I don't know who are our state legislators, you know, do you have any idea of who's been active from a state legislature standpoint? Is there anybody in the
I mean, it's all on.
governor's office or economic development?
It's all on Jake and Aaron, because this is their district, so they need to do something. They're saying they don't need to do anything. So it's like DCAM saying one thing, our legislators are saying another thing, and and I don't know if there's a secret formula to get outside of that, but it's my understanding from talking to different people in different agencies is that it really comes down to Jake and Aaron doing something.
But for instance, if it was, you know, DCAM has, I don't know, 7 arms, so they have a,
Yeah.
like, they have a disposition section, the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
who
yeah.
get rid of their land.
Sure.
That's a lousy term, but
Yeah.
that take care of offloading
Mhm.
the land that they no longer want.
Right.
Is it the head of that division that is saying the legal stuff's not very good, and if more political pressure got on the actual boss of all of DCAM to go ahead and, you know, double check that, or ask somebody in another state office who can get a legal opinion, you know, is there any way they can get a free legal opinion? Because I'm sure Jake and Aaron aren't gonna go pay Koppelman Page or whoever, I forget who the town secretaries are.
There's counsel for the legislators, they don't have to pay for it, but,
Okay.
yeah.
So that council can't talk to DCAM's council to,
In theory, I mean, months ago, Aaron said that was happening. Months ago, before that, Jake said that was happening. And it's been about a year, and the last time I reached out to Aaron, he's like, oh, it's gonna get resolved in months, not years, and it's, you know, so there's just been a lot of like, yes, they're talking, it's happening, and it's not.
Right, unless there's a lot of pressure put on them, it gets put on the back burner
Right,
yeah.
for other things that are more in the spotlight.
yeah.
So is there a way,
So like, you're asking about DCAM, so I can send you the names of the person who's assigned to this project, Raina Rubin, or I could just tell you. I could
Yeah.
send it to you, it could go in the minutes.
I'll take a few minutes, sorry.
I could give you her name, I could give you the head of DCAM's name, the commissioner, but again, it's, yeah.
Well, even if, you know, could we go to the selectmen and make a recommendation? Can we make a recommendation to the selectmen that they start writing letters and talking to the state representatives? Do we want to get the town manager because they're not listening to the
Right,
3 representatives from Belchertown that are on the board in order to move this thing along? Is there, you know?
yeah,
As well as the farmers that are using the property, I mean, cause it really does affect them more than anything.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, if they've got a 5-year lease right now, does it really?
But, I mean, leases can always be broken too.
No, right,
It depends how,
I mean-
if they're in it for the longer term, they might care, yeah.
But I mean, those are the type of people they will
totally,
listen to.
right.
They won't listen to us, but they will listen, you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So the select board, the farmers, the town manager,
I don't know if that, you know, if that would help move things along, but, you know, is there stuff we could try, but I don't wanna, you know, if we can, for lack of a better term, put a choke in the shotgun, which narrows the shot of where it's going,
Yeah.
versus just, you know, blasting it out into space, you know, it might be slightly more effective, that's all. I was thinking.
Well, there's,
Tom, did you get that? I forwarded you the email.
there's, MDR's got their website and with their staff directory, and you can just start going down that.
We're talking about DCAM though.
She's talking about DCAM. So DCAM currently owns the property.
So they're responsible for capital planning, public buildings, constructions, facilities, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. And they owned all the state schools that were,
Yeah,
what do you call it? They closed them all.
Yeah.
Decommissioned.
yeah,
all of them.
but getting them to release it, is that it?
Yeah, and it all takes legislation.
Release it to
You know.
a Lampson Brook farm, right?
Well, they released
Release it to.
all of it except the farm to Belchertown. The farm they retained and gave a lease back to
Yes,
Nestle. Yes,
that's just as a lease, yeah.
yes. It was the first term I think was fairly long, but then I don't know if these later ones have been shorter.
Well, ultimately, who benefits from seeing this done quickly?
The town.
The town. And like, because all those buildings are falling apart, Nesby like can't really keep them up because the state owns the property, so like getting funding and all of that, it's
The
complicated.
state can't
so
award themselves grants,
Right.
so they're not, they're not eligible for any financial assistance, at least from the state. And a lot of other financing, if you don't have control of the property for a longer period of time, whoever
Yes,
is
more
giving you
specific than
money
just
or
the-
loaning you money, they don't wanna do that.
More specifically than just the town, like I understand like for many parts of the state school, it was advantageous to the town to see those recouped as commercial spaces so they could become part of the tax roll again or something. But in the case of the Lampson Brook farm, who will benefit from that? Because it has to remain farmland, and will it
But
just...
also the land.
Well, the land will be better off if it's managed,
Right,
but the agricultural land will
Right.
be better off if it's managed.
And the forest land.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue whether, some of those issues, but if we wanna keep the farmland, it should be used and it should be
so
managed.
it's
Yeah.
ideally the people who've been leasing it or could potentially lease it just see that in a cleaner kind of package so that they can do business with the town instead of doing business with the
State.
state.
Yes, well, right now they're doing business with Nestle, but
Mhm.
Nestle is also struggling financially,
Yeah.
and so, I don't need to, is the executive director still?
Yeah,
around?
what kind of income do they have anyways?
Yeah.
It's not much, can't be much.
They've got a fundraiser going on right now to keep
Try
the
to-
roof
the
on
barn.
the horse farms. Because they can't, it's my understanding that they can't get money because of they're leasing the land.
Right. And that's the stuff you need to have control for.
But ultimately, it
When-
comes down to the people who it'll benefit, and just by saying the town, there's just a very small segment of the town that has any interest in that land or those buildings, and like those people.
Well, I think a direct interest, but I think
It's a good
Even
point.
most members of the community, if they saw a vibrant
Oh,
community there,
sure,
they
but
would
the
be
people that
pleased.
the people who actually can do something with it, whether it's improve the buildings or farm the land or whatever, is a pretty small group. And if that group can be identified and used to push
Yeah,
along.
The problem is some of it may be not residents of Belchertown that come do
Yeah.
the farmland.
Right.
But they would become
I mean, it could be
residents of
networks,
They
it could
could,
be
or, I mean-
out-of-state farmers, it could be
Yeah.
out-of-town farmers, it could be,
Right.
could be people that are there now. I mean, the enterprise zone could be a commercial entity that is just managing and running a commercial farm and just,
So it just kind of feels like it's small potatoes on DCAM's part, and they're just not really working on it.
I don't think it's DCAM who's not working on it. I think it's our legislators.
Yeah.
but it sounds like DCAM threw the thorn in, and if,
DCAM totally threw the.
unless they, said, we can't get rid of the property because this causes,
Also, DCAM was a part of writing the legislation, so why now is it a problem? Why was
They-
this
yeah,
caught
they wrote it.
before?
yeah,
Their lawyers are saying that.
Yeah, you're so good to be retired.
I mean, everything moves slow. I mean, Munson has been They've
Yeah.
been getting rid of Munson, they've been disposing of Munson for a long time.
They're taking down the
They're taking down buildings
power-
now,
what
they're
power
doing
plant?
demolition and power plants, yeah. But even that, I worked on that before I retired, and, you know, you'd work on it for a year or two, and then they would wait 2 years, nothing would happen, and then they pick the funding back up or find funding for it, and then they move forward, and then, you know, so, it is kind of tough. I know they did, transfer some of the property to Fish and Wildlife, but they wanted back, so
Oh.
it was a little piece, which I guess was reasonable. So, but the state is responsible for that, not Munson. So Munson is either, just happened that they didn't have to pay for the demolition themselves, which is what Belchertown was asking
Yeah.
here. So,
I haven't seen the demolition at Munson. Are they doing?
they were supposed to start doing the environmental cleanup before they get to the demo. That's at least what I heard it was going for.
Well, who knows, the political winds are changing
Yeah.
with,
Okay,
our,
well, thank you, and in June, thanks.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna end up tabling, the items after Kate till next meeting because they're not critical. Other than, if you don't mind, Kate, before we turn, unless anybody has any more Lampson Brook
no,
questions.
no, thank you.
Before we turn it over to Kate, I did go to the farmer's market meeting, nothing earth-shattering. They've invited us to participate. They don't really need us because their meetings are off-site. They have 1 or 2 meetings a year. If we have a farmer's meeting in the middle of the year or in January, I suggest we maybe broaden it to include the people that attend the Belchertown Farmer's Market. I don't know. It's just a note that I had. And then there was a email that came from Pete Westover and Sarah, something from
Yeah.
MDR there's assistance to ag committees now
Right, I saw
that they can provide. And I read the list of things they provide, and we don't have anything on our docket sort of right now other than the Lampson Brook, which Pete Westover had already had his hand in making some of the management plan or that part of it. So I didn't see anything, but if anybody feels differently, let me know. It's not necessary. So with that, I would like to turn it over to ever so patient Kate for a little discussion about how we can all utilize the town's services, email, webpage, all that stuff. So I
Thank
don't
you.
know.
I appreciate you inviting me to your meeting tonight and taking a few minutes to meet with me. And I did enjoy sitting through the meeting and the discussions and seeing some of the friction points that you're having with working on your agenda and everything else. And I think it fits really well into discussing communications. Because it seems like there's a lot of chances to communicate what is happening and where those frustrations are.
Sure.
So, to kind of back up a little bit to where I was going to start, and then we'll wrap it up to where you were with your meeting. So I'm the new communications manager. I began in December. It is currently a part-time role, and I am working with the various different entities within the government as well as our committees in helping increase your presence. So whether it's the presence on our website or if it's you want to expand into social media, I can help guide you through that. The communications committee is happy to provide training for anybody that wants to become a user on the website and wants to start putting out information. But also what we're doing is we're trying to increase general communications, if you will. So things beyond the website and social media and, you know, beyond the flashing signs that we see in town and the banners that people are putting up. And we're really looking to better engage our community by talking more about what we're doing. Because nobody's going to tell your story if you don't tell it first. Like, nobody's going to realize who you are, what you're doing, and why it's important if you don't get that word out. So kind of coming back to how we were talking about, like, do we get, you know, the select board involved? Do we get the town manager involved? Like, do we need other people to write letters? So like your first part may be like just putting a piece together, and we have a couple different authors, if you will, on the communications committee that would be more than happy to meet with one or multiples of you with some of your different pain points or, you know, things you're looking to, you know, accomplish as a commission. And just putting those up on the front page of our website as feature news pieces. And then we can share those out with the different print media, so whether it's the Sentinel or the Hampshire Gazette or Mass Live, and getting word out there. Because as you're sitting in this room and you're saying, you know, we're feeling frustrated with our senators for what they're doing, we don't think they're responding, we don't think the state's responding, but if nobody's watching this meeting, which they probably aren't, no offense to you, just nobody's, we have the statistics, we know most people aren't watching our meetings. Like, it's great that they're recorded and we can all look back on them and everything else. But, you know, like, if you start putting out pieces saying, like, hey, you know, we've been waiting to hear back from MDAR for this amount of time. This project has been going on for the last 4 years and there's no end in sight. And you start putting those things together, you're gonna start getting the senators' PR people being like, oh, they've got problems in Belchertown, we need to address this. They're not gonna be quiet about this anymore. So it's making sure that we're telling our story and positioning it in a way that it's gonna get attention and get people to listen. And we wanna, you know, there's always good things happening, there's always bad things happening. We wanna have a balance. We wanna make sure that we're showing all sides of what's happening. And that's kind of, you know, where I can come in. Like, I can help you, you know, if you wanted to put together pieces, I can connect you with an author that can help write the piece for you. If you wanted to write the piece yourselves, we can put it up for you. I can work with you if you want to do any training, if you want to get, like, more into, like, your website stuff, or if you're feeling like the bug to, you know, start putting stuff out on social, I can help guide you with that. If you guys are ever putting together, like, meetings where you have, like, a whole bunch of people coming in, like, I can, you know, put quick flyers together for you as time permits. Right now things are insane because of, you know, it's election season and town meetings and everything else. But, like, January was great. Like, things were cool then, and February was too. And I'm sure, you know, come September it's gonna breathe again. But, like, you know, can help with, you know, quick flyers. You know, just pointing out, like, some, you know, suggestions on how you can make your presence pop more. And we really want to support our different commissions and committees and, you know, help tell your story, because your story is all of our stories. And that's, you know, why I wanted to get a chance to just kind of come in and meet with you. And I feel like it was probably a great meeting to tag on to the end, hearing your frustrations with what's going on. And just knowing that if we start communicating some of these frustrations on a bigger level, then they're going to start getting the attention that they need.
Sweet. Thanks.
Nobody likes negative attention.
So do you guys have any questions for me?
So you work just with the town boards and committees,
Yes.
select boards?
Yep. So I am a town employee. I report directly to Steve, who obviously reports to the select board. I handle our town social media, the overarching presence of the website, you know, who it is, how it looks, how it's broken down. I work with the communications committee. They do a lot of, like, stuff in the background. There's a ton of really smart people on that committee that can, like, make updates to websites and write amazing articles, like, you wouldn't believe. Like, they're such a talented, we're so lucky to have them, as we are lucky to have you. You know, with your expertise. So just, you know, kind of matching people together with their expertises and ensuring that we're telling the story of who Belchertown is.
It's such a big town, it's hard to get the story out to the geographical space that Belchertown is.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
posted town signs don't work anymore. Too far apart. I do kind of have a side note that might be something we consider in a few months, is perhaps having a short meeting or asking whether Dave Haynes and who's it, Jonathan Spiegel from USC,
Right.
whether if they want to come to the meeting. I mean, I personally just feel like it's one of the bigger items that we have as the Ag Commission on it, so I would like to put more effort as a commission towards assisting getting it moving along in any way we can, so.
Resolutions.
That would be something to think about if there's, more.
And I can certainly help too, like, as you're looking to put like materials on the website, like I can help make sure that they're, ADA compliant, which means that people that like use screen readers and stuff can read the materials that we're putting out there, and everything is just fully, digestible by different populations. Taking that one message and showing it different ways, so you can have like the long article, but then you can also have like a picture graph or an infograph to go with it for the people that are visual learners. And BCTV, as Dan can attest, they've been huge with, picking up clips of things that are happening in town and turning things into bigger stories too.
So, the website
Mhm.
and getting access to the website and being able to post things, who is responsible to, or who do we need to see to get appropriate people from this commission to have that access? I know you have, Tammy has access, but.
So whoever wants access, we need to know who those people are. You would just send me an email who they are with their email addresses. I can give them access, and then I would work with the communications committee just to give like a quick overview, like here's how you log in, here's how you get to your piece, just, a basic overview of what the website does. They had offered some training classes a year ago or so when the website was launched, and they're getting ready to offer some more of those training classes coming up, because it's actually been a year. It's
I'm not
crazy.
sure if I've never seen a notice that there were training classes coming up.
Yeah, they haven't released them yet. They're coming soon.
Oh, but
We
even the
started
ones,
talking
even
about
the
them-
ones that were like a year ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, and I don't know whether or not, like, does our webpage get updated to who the current members are? Do we have to do that?
No,
Or does the town, will the town do
The town will
that?
take care of that.
Okay.
Pam and Melissa in the select board's office maintain the list of who all the committee members are and who's holding the clerk, the vice clerk, or the clerk, the chair, the vice chair position. And they provide that list to me to update those people in the background. So we have like, it's called an employee directory, and Joanne in HR manages the actual town employees on that directory, but the employees as the volunteers is something that I manage on there. So I put up, if people want to show their phone number, I include their phone number. If they want to show their email address, we show that email address. Some committees are also pushing to get email addresses with the Belchertown.org, one email address that they can check. And I can help you if you wanted to get, agcom at Belchertown.org or something like that you could have access to.
And this new Carriage Chronicle?
The newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the newsletter, it just had its first edition. It went out May 1st. There's a follow-up edition coming out shortly, so if you haven't signed up yet, please do. It's right on the homepage where you can go and sign up for the digital newsletter. And that is a project that the Communications Committee has put together. It's primarily run by Allegra and Emily on that committee. And they will take news from anybody that wants to share it and put it into the newsletter, as long as it's relevant to Belchertown.
So, can we get feedback to them that, could they, send that automatically to the committees that are part of town?
They have to-
So that we know, I mean, I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, we can't sign people up for it.
But
Because,
is there one, like, I think we should talk as a committee. Would you mind if we break for a minute?
sure, do you want me to step out?
No.
Okay.
No. I think we should have some regular protocol for the email, handling the webpage.
Can I just ask a question? Because there's a physical mailbox that apparently has a bunch of junk mail in it.
Yes, I pick it up.
But doesn't it make sense for every committee to have an email?
That's what I would think.
It
and
does,
Couldn't
but
they just forwarded it?
And
Couldn't
yeah,
they just
how
have
do
it
they-
automatically forwarded to the chairperson or to the clerk or to both? Or
Yeah,
to
there's
the-
just- there's
Yeah.
some committees that aren't feeling that they're not ready for that level of technology
Hug.
of an email address for the
Oh.
group.
Okay.
Which is why they weren't
think we
automatically
are.
handed out.
We're
So-
we're more than ready.
Yes.
Perfect, I love it. I
Um,
love it, excellent.
Okay, so, yes, that's very crazy.
Evidently,
Do we wanna make a standard protocol that the chairman, vice chairman, and the clerk have access to the webpage and also have access to any sort of electronic stuff we have? So
makes
that
sense.
just on a yearly basis, when somebody else is sitting here,
Mhm.
they can just look at the memo and say, I know, you know, Tammy, Tom, and Tyler are gonna have access to Facebook, to webpage, to everything else. And I was gonna get to Facebook in a minute, but I just wanna talk about that. And then, I think, are they pushing to have a, you know, AgCom email address?
So if,
About
if,
that, and then just
if
have
we
it-
wanna have an AgCom email address, we can absolutely do that.
But not like
Communications committee
chair
has
or
one.
not Eric at AgCom,
No,
but
it's just
AgCom or
AgCom
something,
at,
yes.
Belchertown.
Belchertown.
Yes.
Yep.
And then
Yes.
does it get forwarded to our personal emails?
yeah.
Yeah. And so, how do we do that too?
I will put a request in for you on Friday.
Okay. Are you following up on
Do
something?
you-
I'm writing some of
do
these
you
notes.
need-
Yep. Just so that I remember.
Do you
I-
need
I'm-
our email
yeah,
addresses
that's-
now?
I have all of your email addresses in the listing that Pam has for the commission, and since you all voted to maintain your positions and nobody's leaving or coming, except for your new associate member, I have all of that.
Yeah, there's still some, there's,
You may not.
I'm not listed as member.
You're not listed, and as a matter of fact, like this
Ken
MDR
Conklin.
assistant for AgCom sent the email to Pam. They were like, we don't know if you have an AgCom
Yeah.
in Belchertown, and so
Ben Feldman, associate member.
Yeah.
Right.
they never picked up their cards.
Yeah.
And they are
Ken
no longer
Conkey,
member.
associate member. Louise Butler is member.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it
hasn't
So it
been
hasn't
updated.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hasn't been updated.
no.
So we'll definitely make sure that gets updated then.
I need to
Okay,
give you a
Already
different.
offered making Tom.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not here. Incognito.
Let me take a
Director
picture of it.
of
Because
the
I
I'm
can't
retired
access
now,
these
and I
right
think
now.
of my
Yeah.
government.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
I've run into it a couple times.
Yeah,
actually.
it goes into the stratosphere and I don't get it, so.
Thank you.
You know, that is, would anybody find that helpful? To have a computer every time we're here and turn on that screen? Dan, do you know if we don't have to,
You don't have to have your own computer. There is a computer to do that.
oh, that's right, we could just use that computer to
Yes,
turn
we
on.
can-
So next time, we could call up our own webpage and
Look at
Oh.
go through
Things.
things. You know, we could even call up the Lampson Brook, you could have called
Yeah.
up that parcel, well, I mean, it
Right.
is nice having that big screen there,
Oh.
I just kind of forgot about it for a second. If it's not a Zoom or a go-to, we.
Sure. And to that end too, you can also link resources off of your space on the website too. So if you wanted to link out to some of these, you know, committees that the state's running and stuff for quick access, you can absolutely link them
Totally.
there. Yep.
Okay. And Facebook pages, right now, we have one.
Yeah, but it's a
Do you
personal-
have one?
It's a personal one. It's
It is?
based off of my personal Facebook page.
So is it based off of your personal
Yeah.
Facebook page, or what's it called, Lori? I'm gonna
Um,
pop over there right now.
I think it's Belchertown.
If you could
Belchertown
help us,
Ag
can
Mom, I
point
think.
us in the right direction to convert it to a official town page?
There's just
Yeah,
a form
'cause-
you have to fill out.
Cause it's just right now.
Oh, this is fabulous.
Well, and I didn't, because
Yeah.
I tried to post our chicken event to it, which Kate, you did the lovely
can't.
brochure first.
You
The
can't-
chicken
But I
event's
couldn't.
here.
Right, you can't, cause only Ellie and I are administrators.
I know, that's why I shared it on my own page.
So
and
do you
tried
know how to
tag
add
it.
administrators and stuff on that page?
I don't, Ellie,
But Ellie's leaving the committee, so
Right.
we wanna take her off too.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
but she added herself. We got together at the library one day and
So I was gonna say to that end, you know, we can probably, cause you're gonna wanna have your laptop, your phone, cause they sound like confirmation codes and all this stuff, other stuff. Like it's quick to do, but you gotta like check all the devices for all the codes. So yeah, we can definitely sit and take care of taking Ellie off. She'll have to be on board with coming off, obviously, and then whoever else you wanted to add on to have it. And then there's a form to get filled out, that I can send over to you that will make sure the page is being archived through our archiving software.
Yeah,
And, you know, you can add like on your Facebook page, on your town website, you can add in a link for your Facebook page there. And then like if you're putting something together to get added for the town newsletter, you can start pushing people there. But yeah, if you definitely wanna use it more, then I can make sure that like I'm passing the word out to the library and the creative economy and the cultural council and stuff too, that AgCom wants to, you know, bring their page up and they wanna start posting more and, you know, ask them to give a little help in pushing that out, growing your following with you.
So would you put the chair, vice chair, and the clerk on the Facebook page also, since that is our.
You always wanna have at least minimum 3 people.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we could make everybody put Tom.
right, why not put everybody?
Okay,
Yep.
put everybody.
Yep, you can put everybody on there. We would all just have to get together.
We just made you. Oh, would you?
As long as you have
Would
a
you have our
Facebook
media
page.
director?
Yeah, as long as you have personal Facebook, you can get on there. Like, you can't be an administrator if you're not a Facebook user.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
Lori, by September, or do you wanna sit with her?
Whenever.
Don't feel like you have to do it next week, but, you know, just let us know when it is done so we can start.
Let's try to make it a goal to have it done by the next meeting, so we can, you know, log in on the big screen and show them what's done. And I can, we have a communications committee meeting tomorrow night, so I'll let them know, that we want training for the website, and that we have stories that we wanna tell, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And if you work with there's a communications committee, and what's the other committee that deals with the electronic world? Isn't there one other committee? Because I raised the question, like, why can't we archive why can't we do everything electronically? Our minutes, our archiving, why can't we have a Google Drive to share documents between members without someone's gotta look at open meeting law because they're worried that we're taking action. But there are some times we're working on a bylaw or something else that we might wanna throw stuff in a folder, and I started with Google Drive and then I was told that's verboten.
So,
I kinda paused.
the town's IT is not in favor of the Google Drives because they're not seen as secure.
But do they does Belchertown have a portal we could use?
They do not have a portal you can use, and I do know that the communications and the branding committee both rely heavily on Google Drives.
Okay.
So take that for what it's
So in
worth.
the real world,
Yeah.
And they're no secrets, so I have no problem saying them in an open meeting.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, okay, so,
You can say you have to do things, but if you have no way to do them, you can't like not do business, right? Like that's.
I'm on a couple other committees in town, and they do things with pencil and paper, and it's extremely frustrating because they all believe that they can't do it in a more efficient way.
right.
And you were surprised people didn't want email addresses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying this because just thinking about the stories we have to tell, right? Where, like, I'm thinking about at Hampshire College, where it's like our social media engagement is like off the charts when we post a picture of a sheep or a cow, you know? And it's like, if we could be engaging the community with like cute pictures of farm animals and just like bringing that awareness of the actual farming happening.
And meeting, you know, a meet the farmer type.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Meetings,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like so much of our branding efforts, kind of if I switch my
Totally.
hats here to a member of the branding committee,
Yeah.
like so much of our efforts are focusing on the farm aspect, the rural aspect of Belchertown. And I think you guys could get a huge following if you start doing like, look at these cute sheep or something, or like, you know, vote on the new lamb's name or something like that. Like, people love that
There's
stuff.
a lot of horses in Belchertown.
Mhm.
It's huge.
We don't give them names, we give them numbers. For attachment reasons.
So can you drop me an email to the new email and we'll set up a time
Yeah.
where I
I
can
do
meet
think
you here.
Yes, definitely.
I, as I said, I'm retired, so I have a little more time
What do
on
we
my
wanna call
hands
that
now
subject?
during the
That
day
last
to
subject?
meet with
Awesome,
you.
awesome. Because
And
during the day is so much
Fostering
easier for me.
Yeah.
Cultural
no,
commerce.
I am good during the day now.
Something,
And then we
supporting
can
it,
work on
you know.
The the Facebook
doing something,
page
Yeah.
with that.
how can we, like,
Picked up
do I just have a
where it
standing
needs to be.
agenda
Yeah.
item every month to do that? I mean, it would be good if we talked about it more frequently.
I mean, we could go through that pamphlet we made
Yeah.
and just like pick a farm each week or each
Mhm.
month or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, for us to talk about it,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
every month, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if you put out
I
content,
think that
like,
would be really helpful.
we're always happy to share, like, you'll notice, like, we're always sharing each other's stuff in town, like,
Totally.
you know.
It's been great.
we love sharing.
Yeah. Like the farmer's market's opening.
Yeah.
Is this the first weekend coming up?
I think it's next weekend. It could be this weekend.
Yeah. Anyway, we could be
But
close. I
that's-
mean, I
yeah,
got
that's
the
what should be
agenda. It's at
posted
my
on there.
it's at my house. So yeah.
So, how many stories are we looking to tell to start with? Like, do we wanna just start with the ongoing issues over at Lampson Brook and have them kinda take it from there? Do you have a couple other ideas that you want me to pitch tomorrow night?
That would be the first one, and I think I would wait till after next meeting till we regroup with Tammy after tomorrow night, don't
Right.
you think? So we can make a
See
more
what, yeah, you're,
coherent story.
Yeah, so I'll
Frame the
talk to
story.
them, we have a couple authors on the committee, see who wants to pick up doing the story, and then if I can just, I'll make an introductory email, Tammy, with the three of us.
Sure.
And then you can tell them, they'll work with your schedule,
Right.
so.
Okay.
You guys are awesome. I thought it was a great meeting, I really did.
Everybody should come to the AgCom meeting.
They are so riveting.
we could sing them out, right?
Phew, well, Ellie's gone.
It's so exciting.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can't
That only-
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn just so we can talk about personal stuff without being recorded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Thank you, everybody.
8 o'clock, we're done.
Was there a theme? Was it just the